Welcome viewers to the Personal Injury Law Show. My name is Tony Carbone, lawyer of 25 years experience in this area. Next to me I've got John Carantis. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, viewers.
You're an accredited specialist.
I'm an accredited specialist by the Law Institute of Victoria, Tony, in personal injury law.
That's it. And Don Mathia, how are you, Don?
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, John.
Did I pronounce your name right?
You did, Tony.
That's it.
And
That's
Tony,
it.
Don's an expert in transport accident law.
That's it. So we've got the expert in every facet of personal injuries tonight. Now, John.
Tony, what have we got in the news?
In the news, there is plenty, but what we're discussing tonight is all the problems that are arising from people getting cosmetic surgery, they're getting their face done, they're getting breast implants, they're getting liposuction, they're buying things off the internet and injecting themselves.
Dangerous.
And these articles I've got here, I got one lady that I actually represented, and the doctor was prosecuted recently at VCAT because she didn't have the expertise to carry out skin incisions and liposuction and things like that, so she was banned from doing it for 2 years. She was a glorified GP.
So we've got a GP performing this type of
And it gets better.
procedure. Ooh.
The receptionist was injecting her with anaesthetic, so
The receptionist?
yeah,
So is it in the GP's practice?
that's right.
Not in the surgery, probably.
That's exactly
it's out
right.
Surgery.
That's shocking.
So that's that case, and the doctor was fined $2,000 and banned for 2 years. Now,
Is that all?
Well, John,
This person could have died, Tony.
that's exactly right.
But she was left with some scars, Tony. Was he really?
Yeah, she's got scarring. She's got scarring under the eye, around the ears. She's lost her hair because of her stress. But anyway, look, I just want to keep moving. The other one is a lady that went and bought some creams and other things and medicines off the internet, and then she injected herself, and she's got these fat lips and other problems that have arisen from that, infections, and that raises another interesting issue.
Very
about
dangerous, Tony, because who do you sue there? Some wheeler and dealer in Indonesia or something, Tony? It's
No,
just-
you'd probably try
can't be
and
done,
sue
can it?
the pharmaceutical company that manufactures the product.
Hopefully they're a multinational firm, and yeah, there may be
Then there's another
recourse.
lady that died after liposuction surgery. She developed infections and respiratory failure, and there's litigation in that case. That's another nasty situation.
I guess warnings and that type of issues will arise, won't they, Tony?
I just think people take a lot for granted. They don't realise that you should get second opinions, get people with expertise, make sure you're in a hospital environment where you've got the proper care in case something goes wrong.
And do your research.
That's
Research
exactly
the
right.
doctor.
Well, there's the old adage, isn't there, Tony? You only go to a hospital or you only have a surgical procedure as a last resort.
That's exactly right. And then you've got the lady who had breast implants and she's developed cancer. So there's a lot of instances of things going wrong with cosmetic surgeries, and so the message to the public is speak to your GPs, get expert opinion, get a second opinion, and then speak to other people that have had the surgery so that at least you're fully informed. Because at the end of the day, you really don't know what you're playing with. You're really playing with fire when you're getting treated in these sorts of areas. Viewers, tonight's topic is nervous shock. Now, it's a very big topic, and it's the first case we're going to talk about is a case of Annette's, Don. Can you give us some facts?
Well, Ned's case was heard together with another case, which we'll discuss later, of Thames. It was heard in the High Court in 2002. It was quite interesting. It involved a 16-year-old son going out to the outback to work, and the mother...
So he left New South Wales to go to Western Australia.
That's right. And the mother rang the employer before he left to go to Western Australia and sought some assurance for his safety. And the assurance was given by the employer. So the son went off, and off he went to the outback.
So what was this assurance, Don?
For his safety, that he will
So-
receive training, he'll be looked after.
And also that he will be living with other people and supervised.
That's right.
So the thing is, he's gone in the outback in the desert effectively.
In the desert.
Yeah.
Working as a jackaroo. So looking after cattle and
What's a jackaroo?
look after cattle and
Okay.
other livestock. So the interesting thing that happened was that he did go and he wasn't looked after as promised, and they sent him off on his own. Mind you, he's 16.
They didn't keep him in their care?
No.
They sent him off to another
Like
station?
a remote station
Okay.
out in the middle of nowhere
And by himself.
by himself. So 16-year-old by himself with no training. So literally he went there and they was shipped off straight away with no training.
His car broke down apparently?
Well, they didn't know that. He disappeared.
Okay.
So
And
he's
then I couldn't find him.
disappeared. What steps has the employer taken to try and find him?
Well, I think what they did, they reported him missing, of course,
Yeah.
and then they went looking for him, and I think they only found it a
And
month later.
He
Yeah.
was missing for almost a couple of months, wasn't he?
That's right.
They
And
found his remains, John.
found his
He
skeleton.
was decomposed.
So what happened was literally after he was sent off to a remote station, he jumped in. Well, we assume he jumped in his four-wheel drive, and of course wasn't prepared.
Can I just
did not
say
have
this,
the life
John?
skills.
Sadly, they identified the son, that is the parents, through a photograph taken by the police.
And that was of his skeleton, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah,
Shocking.
but they did identify him
Shocking.
through a photo.
And so we've got a situation where over a couple of month period, the parents are worried sick
Oh, of course.
about what's going on.
right.
They've travelled to and back
They've travelled to...
around 9 times, from what I recall. They've travelled to and back from where he's gone missing, from their home around 9 times. He's eventually found.
That's right.
Now they've lodged a claim.
They suffered severe psychiatric injuries outside of grief alone
That's right.
from what happened to their son.
So it went just beyond the mere sorrow,
Pure-
grief that would
Pure
follow,
nervous shock.
and it became. That's right. It became a psychological illness.
It's got to be a properly diagnosed psychiatric injury outside of grief.
That's right.
But this is not the usual type of psychological claim, is it, Tony?
No, it's not the usual type of case because people aren't aware that you've got these sorts of claims. And Don, what did the court find?
Well, the law historically, to succeed in any nervous shock claim, there must have been some sudden shock or witness in the immediate aftermath.
You had to be right there.
Essentially,
Yeah.
that's what the courts in many,
The court in this
centuries
case found
ago-
differently, didn't they?
Well, the court did. The High Court changed pretty much the way they perceived these type of claims, and the law that they said was applicable and more appropriate in the circumstances was whether or not the defendant, by its negligent conduct, could reasonably foresee the psychiatric illness will be caused to, in this case.
And in this case, they found in favour
descendants.
of the parents because of the fact that they sought assurances for their son's safety. Is that correct?
Well, they looked at the whole circumstance, and it was exactly the parents actually did inquire before and received those assurances from the employer
Yeah.
Do
about
you
his
agree
safety.
with this finding, John?
Well, look, the High Court found liability for damages for psychological injury is not limited to cases where the injury is caused by a sudden shock to a plaintiff who has directly perceived a distressing phenomenon. Now, I have to admit, I've got some issue as to the foreseeability and connection, Tony.
I think it's reasonably foreseeable that if you have asked for an assurance for your son's safety, and then all of a sudden they're not in the care of these particular people, what they've done is they've sent them out somewhere remote, it is foreseeable that someone's going to suffer a reaction from a psychiatric point of view if their son then goes missing. Don't you think, Don?
Well, look, I think so, and in this case, they did look at the assurance that was given by the employer to the parents. But I would think, even if the assurances wasn't there, it's still reasonably foreseeable by the negligent conduct that the loved ones would be or suffer some
Affected.
sort of psychological harm.
Look, we'll come back to this because hotly debated, I think. Viewers, don't go away. Stick around. We've got to go to a sponsors break. Thank you.